was some form of a meaningful discussion is like what it means today to be a woman in a geospatial field. I already talked earlier with Jo, and she said there was only like a handful of women like at these events, like, or in the industry, like when Jo started. And how do you experience the current situation?
Do I have to? Does Ching needs to answer? Yeah.
Anyway.
But maybe Ching, have you heard the question? No.
Sorry, I didn't catch the question. Where's that?
Okay. Well, maybe I can answer, and then just a sec, Ching. I'll repeat it for you in a minute. So, well, of course, I'm not a scientist at all. I just make films. So comparing to what other people, compared to what these women do, like what I do is probably nothing. But I think when I first met Ching and she told me that she wanted to make this film that was about science, but it was also had to be also about art as well. And I was like, how does this work? She was like, yeah, because I know these 4 women scientists, and they're all artists, and they're dancers, and they're scientists, and so I want to make a film about them, because it's already, unusual that, it's like, I think science is a field that is, from what I understood from this film, is dominated mostly by men. So, and I'm happy that there are so many men in this room, so, so she wanted to, highlight the fact that there are women that are scientists, and not only they're scientists, but they're also like creatives and artists and dancers. So we wanted to celebrate this thing probably. And so she shot the film, she made a lot of interviews, and we collected such a beautiful material about these women who's basically are telling us, how can we be women? How can we be multitasking? How can we approach like science while being mothers? And they also do like mentoring and stuff. So I think we wanted to prove that, science is a lot more than what people usually think. Art is life. Art, science is art. Science is art, and science is life. And art is science and life. So sorry for the thing. My English is so bad. But anyway, so yeah, we wanted to prove that science is everything, and science can be art as well. So it was nice to kind of trying to wave these two things, the scientific work, but also the personal experiences of these women, like fighting every day to do what they love and to follow their dreams, and they achieved them. So yeah, it was very nice.
Jo, so you've seen the movie. How do you feel about what Bettina said, or what the movie? What's your feeling about this work?
Yeah, is that coming through the mic okay? Yeah?
Yep.
No? People are saying no.
Ching says yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I thought that was a fantastic movie, and I wrote down a number of kind of points which I'm now going to have to try and make sense of. I think it's interesting that as women involved in science, it does have to be a case of multitasking, as you say. So there's 2 sides to it. One is you don't really hear of men saying, I'm marrying my science job to the fact that I'm also a father. That doesn't happen generally. I'm sure there are edge cases. Apologies to any edge cases in the room. But there is this idea that people have to be mothers or even just women and scientists and geospatial people. But what I also loved is the fact that the people in the movie, the women in the movie, are doing this on their own terms. So they're making their own expression of science. And I think that's really, really important, because there are 2 ways that you can go as a a woman involved in geospatial industry or science is you can either take the I won't say combative. You can either take the kind of the sort of more traditional male approach to kind of getting in and being successful, or you can forge your own path. And I think it's great to see a movie like this that shows you can forge your own path. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So,
Thank you.
Catherine?
Yeah, no, I loved the movie. Can you hear? Yeah, cool. I love the movie. I thought it was fantastic, and a lot of it resonated with me as well. I mean, having come from the sciences and experiencing a similar thing, a lot of it, representation is kind of key. So if you're in a conference and you're, in a predominantly male conference, you're not. It's a sense of, if you see others that are more similar to you, and I saw that was mentioned in the film, you're going to feel a little bit more welcome. You're not going to feel like an outsider in the community, and I think that's why there's so many actions to create a more representative, mentoring or network. I know a lot of you, we also with the sponsor, the Women in Geospatial, that is a fantastic network. And it's that space where it's welcoming and supportive, and it's, you see plenty of individuals that are like you, experiencing the same situations, and so it's having those kind of networks. I wish these kind of examples had been around when I was younger, because it would have been nice to not feel like you were always the only one there, the trailblazer. So I'm really happy to see the turnout here as well, because a lot of times it is women talking to women about representation, and it's getting that buy-in from allies, right? So knowing that, there's other voices in the room and making space for them. So, thanks.
Ashley, you graduated last year, so you just come out of university. How do you feel, where we hear now how it is like in the job life? How did you feel? Is that a problem or the issues addressed at university?
So I think first start with not with my job life, but I will go back to the first day of uni or first few weeks of uni. I did computer science, and as you might guess, it's a very male dominant field. And when I first entered the lecture hall, I could see obviously lots of boys sitting, and was just trying to figure out how many girls are in there, but I didn't care much at all at that moment. But after 3 weeks later, obviously it was just first few weeks of my uni life, and my mom started to asking me questions like, who do you go out with, what do you do at your spare times? And I was always mentioning about the male names, and my mom realized I didn't even realize that I didn't have any girlfriends at all for the last 3 weeks. And then I realized it is a really male-dominated field, and it feels sometimes when you're out there as a woman, you feel like I need to be able to, not in a maybe competitive way, but you feel the pressure on yourself that I'm at the maybe, not going to compare the levels, but I should just showcase that we'll be able to do the same stuff, same technical, we'll be able to come up with the same technical levels and accomplish same things with the males. So I got it as a personal challenge and worked really hard and graduated as the best of my class on that year. So I just think that we just need to go out there and try our best and try to create an example for thank you. Yeah, just try to create an example for other young women who is coming into the industry.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, I actually do. So it's because I think of my father, but my father was always believed in that we need to be successful in our life, but art actually completes our soul in few ways. So there was a rule in my family that either I'm going to do one of the sports or I'm going to play one instrument. So I went both. I started swimming really young at 6 years old and did it in a really competitive way again, I guess. And I've been playing violin since I was 10 years old. So yeah, just trying to have both of them still in my life as a hobby so that my soul won't die, I guess.
Can I ask a question too?
Yes, of course.
How do you think, like, the fact that you're playing violin and you're doing science, what's the, like, how's the relation between the two?
I think what I feel like is I started really young, so in a really general way in your life, not maybe just particularly in science, but you're doing sometimes really hard task in your life, and you're working or you're studying, you're trying to learn something, or you're trying to accomplish something, and after that I think your brain really needs to calm down. And it's not that something you can do about by sleeping 8 hours. I really don't believe that. Of course, we need to have a really nice routine in our lives, but I think art, playing an instrument or doing some sports or maybe drawing or anything like that actually do calm us. So it's my personal opinion. Of course, it can defer to anyone else, but yeah, that's how I feel.
Do you ever get inspired by the music?
I truly do, and like I said, it calms me down a lot. I'm deeply into classical music, and there is a search. I'm not going to go deep into that because I don't want to lie about it. I'm not really sure in the details, but you know the Mozart classical play that they played it for the cows. I don't know if you heard about it. So it's actually, I think, experimented before, and it's a kind of a fact out there, I guess. But yeah, I guess it's still, again, a personal idea. But yeah, it's been experimented before, and I think it's a fact.
As we saw, since you just university and Catherine and Joe achieved so much, would you have any questions for either of Joe?
I actually, do, because I think in my generation, because of the digital platforms and all of those awareness going on, and everyone is trying to open doors for women as well, because, I'm not going to say because they don't want to look bad if they don't have the equality, but right now it's much more better than I think how it was before. So how was it back then? Because I even struggled somehow.
You go first. I'm trying to think. Yeah. I mean, how was I? In a way, I almost think it was easier. I mean, not easier in that I didn't have to deal with social media. Because there's good things and there's bad things about that. I think it was, I probably didn't have the awareness of some of the things that were outside of my little bubble of my world, right? Because you didn't see things outside. So all of your representation came from, your teachers or folks that you interacted with outside of, being able to see other networks, right? So I think that's there's different things that were kind of, I remember finishing grad school and getting the career advice on that afterwards. I mean, we only had one female, lecturer within our department. And she was the one giving the career advice. And her, this was not that long ago, I say too. Her career advice was like, okay, hide your wedding ring. Because the next thing is somebody's going to ask you, when are you settling down and having kids? And then all of a sudden you're not as eligible for other jobs. So I remember I had gotten engaged before my first interview with an industry organization. And I definitely took off my engagement ring because I didn't want that to be a question. And that's not something that everybody has to think about or have to prepare for. So hopefully they're not given the same career advice. now. But yeah, I think, there was different challenges, but certainly I also see the social media, piece being a different challenge. You have to then have a voice, and you have to have a personality, or you need to post things. And I think maybe differing members of the community might always feel comfortable in doing that. And so, I don't know. I don't know if that helps answer your question, but I'll pass the baton, yeah.
Okay, so for those that don't know, I've had a pretty roundabout career route to getting here. My degree was in maths, and then I became an underwater archaeologist, as you do. And then I got into land archaeology, and then into GIS. And there's two sides to it. One is that I don't ever feel like I've experienced any overt sexism or anything like that. In fact, as an archaeologist, you are definitely expected to get in and do whatever the boys do, But when I did my training as an underwater archaeologist, when you wear professional diving gear with the hard hats and all that, at the time, there was only one size, and it was for guys that worked on oil rigs. It wasn't for 5'3" girls. So you're wearing this enormous steel helmet, which is way too big for you, with a faceplate that goes like that, because the face thing is too big for you. You've got 64 pounds of lead, because that's how much lead they put on them. I could barely stand up, and I would hope that that's improved, since then. But then one thing which I've always been thinking about is, in the earlier days of Phosphor-G and the global OSGO community, when we first started thinking about, did we need some kind of female-specific representation? Did we need an interest group? And they asked for kind of opinion, and at the time I said, well, I don't think that we do, because I've never experienced anything. I wouldn't feel like I'd have anything to say. And somebody came back to me and said, how would you know if you did? And I keep thinking about that. I've been thinking about it for like 20 years. Like, how do you know, really, as a woman, how do you know whether you've experienced? I mean, obviously you know if you've experienced overt sexism, but then I totally agree with the point about social media, in that these days you do know, because you've got trolls on social media telling you, about everything. And I'm, again, very, very glad not to have been in that situation. So.
Social media or any media, I mean, Bettina, you probably know media better than any of us, and outside thing, movies or film is a science. So, not saying you're not a scientist, like, how do you feel about this? Does it relate to the film business? Like, is it a similar feeling, or is it completely different in your environment?
It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same. I'm a film editor, and most of the time I'm surrounded by men. And it's always also like I spend a lot of time like editing films locked in one room, and it was a pleasure this time working in a team made of just women, because usually it's always men, and I get stuck in one room with the director, a man usually, and I can tell that, I don't know, this is maybe just my experience, but when I work with female directors in one room together and we spend hours and hours together, like even like 18 hours in one room, the relationship is always like very different, not in a good or a bad way, it's just different. But for example, I don't know, I think also in this industry there is a lot that we still need to do to improve. We want more women in films as well, I think, especially in the technical roles as well, such as film editing. So yeah, but hopefully it will be better. Hopefully.
And finally, your question. I'm not sure whether you can translate it to you. With that experience, now that you finished this movie, do you want to continue to work with female scientists, or what's going to be the next project? What's going to happen with this?
Yeah, like I think because coming to this film world as a scientist, I always have my niche or the nerdiness in me. So I'm actually in the middle of development a TV comedy in science. Think about the Big Bang Theory. It's a bunch of dudes, but I'm thinking about to have a comedy with a bunch of geoscientists, but women. Like I just want to talk about the experience from my grad school, like hang out with my girlfriends, trying to figure out like life um in the geoscience department. Like I was the only woman like in my physics department, like when I was doing my bachelor degree for 3 years. It was a very interesting experience. So I think that will be my next project. But also like I really want to let the general public like get to know more about the science in a comedy way. I feel like if I can explain science like what is a ground penetrating radar, like in a very simple comedy way, that's a winning for me. Um, Seismic wave, like is not used only to see earthquakes. You can actually see moose quakes, see lava quakes, human quakes with a seismometer. For GIS also, like my colleagues like using LiDAR to see the walrus on the Arctic ice. I'm thinking maybe I can just do it in a comedy way to explain it. I can't hear you anymore.
Gail and Bowen are here, producers. Do you want to?
Just
Okay.
whether you would like to introduce who they are.
They're the producers of the film.
the
Yeah.
producers of
Right? I'm right, right? Yeah. Or do you
Yeah,
have
so I
like a
want to
specific?
introduce like those are my producers, co-producers,
Okay.
like without them, this film wouldn't exist. So Bowen is a scientist as well, like and Gail, she comes from the commercial world. I just want them. Maybe you guys can open the mic to say hi to the crowds in the UK.
Hi everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to just share our project. Thank you.
Gail, do you want to say something for us?
Hi, Scale. Yeah, I'm so proud to have this project with everyone, and I so like this movie, like this film, like at the first time Ching told about this project to me, she said we want to build up like it's not like a deep scientist film. It's talk about the life about the women scientists. So I think it's more it is so meaningful for next generation to watch this, and everyone will be so inspiring inspiring for with this film. Yeah, thank you.
I want to say I heard about the movie because you sent an email to Geolytics asking for funding, and it is incredibly hard. Like, I mean, for us in the industry, an event like this, to get a sponsorship is difficult, and I can only imagine it's even harder for you. So I really hope you can connect with her and listen out and forward the request, like things like this, like to fund like art that supports science that support art in the future. And I also want to ask you, like in the audience, has any of you in regards to our discussion, any questions to the panel or to you? Yes?
Yeah, I am a stranger in a strange land in this meeting, so forgive me. I worked at the University of Leeds, sharing research data with the world, and what was fascinating for me, and I'll slightly challenge you, was the impact art had where projects would fund an artist within the project. And the impact was very much both ways, and you started to allude to that a good piece of art in propagating the results of science had an impact on the scientists themselves and how they saw their own science. So don't underestimate the contribution you make.
Thank you.
Just conscious of time. We're gonna finish this session soon, and then I really would like for most of you to stay here, because the next session is going to be the AGM of OSGeo UK. And as we heard, there has to be representation. And right now, the board of OSGeo is entirely male. And we really would like to have female representatives. So please stay here and put your name forward, be part of the group. So I think a round of applause. Sure.
Leaves. Somebody in the film made a really, really good statement, which is that the hustle is overrated. And I think that that is something that everybody should take on board. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, the hustle is quite definitely overrated. So,
Thank you.
yeah.